Oh, really?
Hi, I'll be your rabbi for the evening. I see my batteries are good. Hello, everybody out there in computer land. This is coming into the high holy day season, and I see I grabbed the bar mitzvah talis again, and I have no book. But otherwise, everything's cool. Rosh Hashanah, just tell me. Oh, yeah. Thank you. If folks are going to come to shul, let's just be realistic and say 2 days a year. Why Rosh Hashanah? Why don't they come? Well, Pesach they come too, because there's something about the matzah that brings them in. Purim you get to dress up, you get Hamantashen. Hanukkah, of course, you get latkes. You notice Jews only eat green vegetables. And hello,
and potatoes.
Okay. So why Rosh Hashanah? You tell me. Why do people come? See, I shouldn't have done this because I could have saved it for Rosh Hashanah. Why do people come to shul dafka on Rosh Hashanah?
They don't want to get struck down and not written in the book.
Yes, that's a realistic. You can hear me right now. You're hearing me right now.
Yeah.
No, that's very sweet. Thank you. All right. So Doreen says not to get struck down. Was your hand up, or
No,
you
I
said
was
no
waving
for
some.
popcorn?
I was waving some Marla.
Okay, we should have peanuts and popcorn. Really. Yes.
Because on Rosh Hashanah, your fate is determined.
Yes. You believe that?
Do I have to hit you again?
Yeah. Who picked out the shirt and pants? Was it you or some higher power?
Yes.
Higher power is wife.
No, we did this when I was in yeshiva. We did this whole thing about if you have free will, then God doesn't know everything. If God doesn't know everything, if God knows everything, you don't have free will. And
Why can't you? God knows everything, but you still have free will.
Al, I love you. It could be a plant. Okay, my dear friend Al says to me, how is that possible? Why is that a contradiction in terms? That if God is omniscient, if God knows everything, how can we possibly have free will? Return with me, if you will, to the 11th century. Was the 11th century a good century for Jews?
No.
No, it was better than the
Century's good for us.
10th, and it was slightly less good than the
keep
12th.
saying that.
Not
Yeah,
as
I
bad as
know.
the 15th was much worse.
The 15th was really bad.
And that was the
See, when we
Exposition.
look at Jewish history, it's all Eve history. You know, the Cossacks, the Khmelnytsky massacres, the pogroms, and anyway. All right, so there I am, an introduction to Jewish philosophy with Rabbi. He wasn't a rabbi. He was a PhD. Dr. David Kadosh, very nice little man. And when he spoke very quietly, so you had to listen very carefully to take the notes. This will be on the final. What? What's going to be on the final, Dr. Kadosh? Anyway.
Is that like Dr. Moby?
Yes, that was his name. He was from Morocco. Very nice. Brilliant guy. You know, he wore his learning lightly, like somebody else you may have heard of in this room. Okay, so anyway, what happens is Dr. Kadosh teaches us Rambam, and he teaches us Ralbag. He taught us a few more other people, Ibn Kreskas and so on and so forth. Okay, Rambam. Now, when Maimonides talks about health, and you should eat vegetables, which is very progressive for the 11th century. I don't think he was a vegan, but let's say he ate vegetables during the week and meat on Shabbat. A lot of rabbis did that. But when he talks Torah, then he's Rambam. He's not Ramban, okay? Rambam is Maimonides. He's in Egypt. Ramban is Nachmanides around the same time, but they're in Spain. I don't think they ever met. That would have been really something, like King Kong and Godzilla. But what happens is that Rambam says that God's way of knowing is not our way of knowing, meaning that who invented time? Very good, God. But we, on the other hand, live on a timeline, okay? Yesterday, today, tomorrow. So we are bound by time. God is not bound by time. God is above time. For God, it's always, here it comes, now. I didn't understand it either. Oh, it's a fascinating philosophical concept. Therefore, if I picked out the tie tonight, because I like Jerry Garcia, and God already knew this, but because, again, God is not bound by time, and his way of knowing is not our way of knowing, he knows everything, but I have free will. Anybody?
Okay.
Comment? All right, Leland, you're going to have to come in again because we already did Maimonides. We're going to do Gersonides now. Ides means son of. Rav Levi ben Gershon. Rav Levi ben Gershon was a poet. He was a Spanish Jew. He had a very difficult life. I think he was an orphan. Was he an orphan? Okay, well.
Just because God knows everything still doesn't mean he can still give you the opportunity to make your own decision, so to speak.
Yes.
Let's see what you can do.
Okay, well, that's
Okay,
Kabbalah.
I know you're going to pick out that tie, but let me see what you can do.
Well, I picked it out because it kind of matched. No, you're right, Paul. This is Tzimtzum. This is where God retracts some of his all-knowingness, all-beingness to allow our human activities. It's the same thing, like if you've had kids, and the child is first learning to walk. I'm happy to report that my great-nephew is doing pretty well in that department. The thing is this, when he first walked, he was surrounded by his aunts and uncles and this and that. And of course, what do you do when a baby do something wonderful? You applaud. So he decided, I'm going to stop walking, I'm going to stand here, and I'm going to applaud some more. Because when I applaud, they applaud. And it's a whole back and forth thing. So he was really getting into the applause. However, when the baby first starts to walk, what do? You stand, first you hold the hands, the little henties, and you walk along with the baby, but then you stand in front of the baby, and the baby is walking and saying, oh my God, look at this, I'm the first baby to ever walk, nobody's ever walked before me, and you're guiding the baby, saying, come here baby, come on baby, come on baby. That is God's interaction with humanity. When you think things are going very badly, God is still with you, but he's ahead of you saying, come on, just a little bit more, and you'll reach me. Well, let's do Gersonides, Ralbag. Now, Gersonides had, or Rav Levi ben Gershon, Ralbag, had a kind of a sad viewpoint of the world because of his own experiences. So he said that God knows generalities, but he doesn't know details. He doesn't know particulars. So whereas Maimonides limited humanity, Gersonides limits man. Because God knew that I was going to go to shul tonight, and therefore I had to wear the shul ensemble. That is the formal shirt, the tie clip, the jacket. So God knew that, but he didn't know if I was going for the black jacket, the gray jacket, the brown jacket, you see? So in that manner, humanity has free will. Okay? Well, let's take a look at the Torah portion, shall we? And we've discussed this before. Moses is in the wilderness. He's got the Dor Hamidbar, the generation of the wilderness in front of him. These are not the generation of the Exodus. These are not people who stood at Sinai, except in a metaphorical sense. They didn't see the destruction of Pharaoh's cavalry at the Sea of Reeds. They're kids. They're very nice kids, but they're a little bit, like most kids. They think they know more than they actually do. And Moses has to tell them, it's like, I'm going to tell you everything that happened up to this point. That's why Devarim, which means words, in English becomes Deuteronomy, which means second Torah. Because, and this is tradition now, okay? I'm not getting into heresy land just yet. But most biblical scholars say this didn't happen. They even have doubts about whether Moses existed. I don't have that problem. I think somebody existed. One guy, two guys, they conflated them. I think it'd be nice if Moses was Moset. Have a woman in charge for a change. But you can't do that because it's like 722 BCE. Maybe I'm wrong. You got anything for me, Doug?
For what?
For Israelites in the wilderness. Even speculative.
I wasn't there.
There you go. All right. I bet some of your students thought you were. Okay. Right. Anyway, so Moses is saying to them, this is everything that happened up to this point. And he starts out by saying we have a system of judges. Judges of hundreds, judges of 50s, 20s, 10s, and so on. Which is really the basis for the modern system of jurisprudence. That, of course, and there's a couple of English guys, Blackstone and Koch. But, they kind of meet in the middle. And of course, you can't go without the Greeks. The Greeks were very important in terms of establishing civilization. Well, the thing is this. Moses says, I set up the system of judges. Well, if you remember Exodus, he had a little help. Who was his helper in Exodus?
Jethro.
Right, his father-in-law, who was the high priest and the judge of Midian, and Jethro comes to visit Moses. This is the book of Exodus. It's fairly well known. And he watches. Moses says, I tell you what, Pop, you come out tomorrow, you watch me, I got to judge the people. So Moses, this amazing prophet, this guy who speaks with God the way I'm speaking to you, he's got everything. He's got business disputes. He doesn't have land disputes because they're pretty mobile. He's got the kosher chicken dispute, okay? And Jethro says, this is not good. This thing that you do is not good. I like Jethro. He talks very literally. He says, you're going to wear yourself out like a piece of soap. This is what you do, says Jethro. And he gives him the idea for the judges of hundreds and so on and so forth. So what happened to Jethro here? Why is Moses taking all the credit? And in Exodus, Jethro was the instigator, or the initiator. I'm sorry, initiator is a good thing.
Because he wasn't a Hebrew?
Right, he was a Midianite. And even though Moses had Midianite relatives, they never invited them to reunions because the Midianites had just finished enticing the Israelites and enticing them with a god, a stone god by the name of Baal Peor. And apparently they weren't ready to forgive them because they led them astray. And you know, when it comes down, look, you got two people here. You got the guy who's trying to lead you astray, and you got the guy who is led astray. The Israelites show a very strong proclivity for being led astray. I mean, why not? I mean, on the one hand, you've got this invisible God who is very demanding, has a very short temper. On the other hand, you got this guy Baal Peor who says, hey, let's have an orgy. You don't even have to get dressed. You bring the chips, I'll bring the dip, we'll make an evening of it. Okay? Till 1 o'clock in the morning. All right, so one of the most famous statements, very nice statement of law. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdov. Justice, justice shall you pursue. Why do they repeat it? And I don't have any slick answers, so I will be happy to.
Because it's
entertain.
important.
Yes, okay, all right. Like your mother talking to you. Take your key, and did you take your key? All right, because I'm going to sleep. No, she's not. She's going to be on the couch when you come back. Unless you don't come back. All right, anybody else? Justice, justice?
I think all these important things were repeated. There are many times where he says, Abraham, Abraham, Moses, Moses.
Yes, right.
Because it just, I don't know,
No, that's fine.
signify the emphasis of the importance of
Yes,
whatever's
okay.
about to come after that.
All right, thank you, yes.
Oh, I was gonna say, the emphasis on.
Okay, well, it's justitiae, that is justice. But justice and tzedek live in two different neighborhoods. Tzedek not only means justice, it means righteousness. And it's so hard to be righteous, especially with all the people around you misbehaving. And there seems to be a lack of mentions in today's society. And that's very tragic. What is a mensch?
A good person who does
Yes.
good deeds.
Right, a civilized person, somebody who tries to preserve civilization, and it's not easy to do. I always compare it to the kids, the substitute teacher is there, and do the kids ever behave for the sub?
No.
No, never. They do all kinds of things. And you got one kid who behaves. Is that even going to happen? Is that possible for one child to be Simon Pure and everybody else is dancing on the ceiling?
Everybody else will gang up on him.
Right, it's too bad. When kids say, oh, I want to be an individual, they are not individuals. They are trying to find their identity. When they say, I want to dress the way I dress, you don't dress the way you dress. You dress the way all your friends are dressing. When I was in the 3rd grade, and my parents used to take me to Lasky Brothers for shoes, the big deal that 3rd grade year, 1960, was ripple-soled shoes. And I said, oh my gosh, I have to have ripple-soled shoes. And I would say they changed my life. Since that time, I have never worn anything of a flat sole, which is not true. But, okay. So, let's see. Okay, you've got the judges, then you've got, in every generation, you've got those who are tasked with the interpretation of Torah. Who do you go to for a Torah interpretation?
Rabbi.
A rabbi. They say that a rabbi who does not make his congregation want to ride him out of town on a rail is no rabbi, and a rabbi whom they actually ride out of town on a rail is no mensch. Okay? It's tough, I tell you. just imagine, I guess, thank God here things are fairly low key, but I have been in congregations where you've got the shul. The shul is a big box. And who is in the box? You got traditional Jews, not traditional, because it was the only shul in town. Traditional Jews, not traditional Jews, Reform Jews, secular Jews, argumentative Jews, there goes one now, and, no, I'm sorry.
I won't fight that.
Okay. And you've got and your job is simple. You have to make everybody happy. Is it possible for human beings, let alone Jews, all of them to be happy all of the time?
No.
Right, but that's your impossible task. So we turn now to tradition for a very lovely little story which I will share with you. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda. I think it was Rabbi Yehuda. They got so many rabbis. It's the Talmud. It's around the 1st century, and the Talmud's not written yet. But this is a section of the Talmud known as the Mishnah, in particular Avot Rabbi Natan. I never met Rabbi Nathan, but it's the fathers according to Rabbi Nathan. Fine. How did the rabbis decide what Jewish law should be? Yes, they voted. It was democratic. Either they would submit to the knowledge of the greater rabbis, such as Rabban Gamliel, or they would vote. Okay. One day, Rabbi Yehuda decides he's going to take on the entire yeshiva, the entire academy. He says, my opinion is correct. And they say, no, with all due respect, Rabbi Yehuda, you're a nice guy. Sit down, be quiet, because we all voted, and we voted against you. And Rabbi Yehuda says, if I am correct, let the walls of the yeshiva bow inward. Let them collapse. Well, what happened was, the walls bent in halfway. They bent in halfway to honor Rabbi Yehuda, but they stayed diagonal to honor Rabban Gamliel. So it's what we call the wall compromise. It's also why we have the mezuzah a little slightly off like that. Okay. And they say, no, I'm sorry, we don't paskin a din, we don't paskin a halacha, we don't decide Jewish law according to your ability to tilt walls. And he says, come outside. So they all go outside. Outside the yeshiva was a little brook, a little sweet rivulet wending its way through the rabbinical property. He says, if I am right, let the stream flow upstream. And the stream did flow upstream. And all the rabbis say, hey, we don't decide Jewish law by streams. He says, okay, I'm going to pull out the biggest gun of all. He says, if I'm right, let a bat kol, let a heavenly echo, let the voice of an angel come forth and vindicate me. And they heard from afar, from above the clouds, from where the stars live, they heard a little angel voice saying, why are you going against Rabbi Yehuda, seeing as how all of his decisions are correct? And the rabbis go, we don't go by heavenly echoes. We voted, all right? Sit down, eat your tuna fish, be quiet. So what happens later, as a sort of a coda to the story, is that one of the rabbis is walking along, this is on a different occasion, and he runs into Eliyahu Hanavi. He runs into Elijah the prophet. Because since Elijah never died, he was transmogrified. He was carried off in a fiery chariot drawn by fiery horses. He had to keep his clothes up to get it out of the way. Because of that, because Eliyahu never died, he is the go-between between earth and heaven. And he frequently appears to answer questions and knock 3 times and all that business. And this rabbi says to Eliyahu Hanavi, when we were having that whole kerfuffle with Rabbi Yehuda, what was God doing? And Elijah says, God was laughing, and he was saying, my children have defeated me. My children have defeated me. And that is such a cool thing, that you have this idea that the Torah is not in heaven. The Torah is right here. And it's up to us to interpret it how we wish. Okay, Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. Thank you. And
If I am right,
yes.
shall we light leave the candle?
No, I don't think so. You got a bat cold? You got a heavenly echo? All right, very good. Okay, the cantor will choose somebody to light candles.
I don't choose him.
All right, I'm going to start with our very hardworking president. Okay?
Another job?
Yeah. I hope they didn't give you the trick candles. Okay, please rise. The ladies will go this direction.
Put me to work.
Okay, we wave our hands over the candles, bring in Shabbat, we cover our eyes. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu, lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, b'mitzvotav. Vitzivanu, vitzivanu, lahadlik ner. Vitzivanu, vitzivanu, lahadlik ner. Vitzivanu, vitzivanu, lahadlik ner. Shel Shabbat. Amen.
Good job is everyone. Good job is mine. Good job is Al.
Get a hug from you.
Hey, baby.
Oh, there's no one.
Yes, I'll tell you how, Avi. Avi, I'll tell you how. Oh, what am I sitting on?
Okay, good Shabbos, Jason. How you doing? Good Shabbos, Al.
Put the other ones on the table.
All right.
Thank you, honey. Okay. And that's kissing.
I have your tickets for you.
Marla, go. Marla. Be careful, 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 careful.
Your little messages.
Okay.
Murray, be careful, go sit. Getting me nervous. Here, they put them away. I have to dig around for them.
Okay. Shalom Aleichem.
Malakei Hashanah, Malakei Elyon. Melech, Malakei HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Aleichem Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei
Kadosh Baruch Hu, Baruni Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Shalom, Shalom, Malakei Shalom, Malakei Elyon. Melech, Malakei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Page 14.
Yedi nefesh havarakaman b'shov kablach el tzodach yanu tzadak yoach
Okay, we'll continue on page 21 with the Lachadodi.
Okay.
21.
Leka leka dodi,
Leka leka
kala, bene bene Shabbat leka bela, leka leka dodi, leka leka kala, bene bene Shabbat leka bela, la 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 leka dodi, leka leka kala, bene bene Shabbat leka bela, leka leka dodi, leka leka kala. Bene Shabbat lekabela, Shabbat v'sachorei v'urechad, Ishkeanu el ha'meyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'letiferet v'litila la 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 lekadoti,
lekakala. Bene Shabbat lekabela. Lekadodi, lekakala, bene Shabbat lekabela.
Mikdash melech yirmelu gam, kulim zeim tohav v'kach, rak shefet v'kavaka, v'yakamo la 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 lekadodi, lekapidesa.
Bene Shabbat lekabela. Lekadodi, lekakala. Bene Shabbat lekabela. La 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 lekadodi, lekakala. Bene Shabbat lekabela. Lekadodi, lekakala. Bene Shabbat lekabela.
All right, page 22, having completed the Lachadodi, we'll complete it again. Please rise, face the door through which the Sabbath will enter.
Boi v'shalom ma'aseh malach, Am v'shina u'v'shomra, V'chonei yasehula, Boi kala boi kala,
Lekakala. Bene Shabbat lekabela. Lekadodi, lekakala. Bene Shabbat lekabela. Lekadodi, lekakala. Bene Shabbat lekabela. Lekadodi, lekakala. Bene Shabbat lekabela.
All right, let's remain standing and we'll do the.
We got an agreement.
What's that?
If they don't sing with happiness and with koyak, I will continue singing the same song. Yeah, so
All right, we're not doing the bar for
they are getting that.
We're going to do the Lachadodi again.
Huh?
Yes.
Vote counts.
Oh, mine? Oh, yes. No, wait for heavenly echo. All right. Okay. Let's see. Leland, Arnold, would you come up and open the ark, please? Page 28. I'm glad you both wore blue. be seated.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בדברו מרים עולמים בחוכמה פותח שערים ובתבונה משנה עתים ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם מרקיע כרצונו בורא יום ולילה גולל אור מפני חושך בחושך מפני אור הוא מעביר יום ומביא לילה הוא מבדיל בין יום ולילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד יאיר לי 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 ברוך אתה אדוני אמרי ורבי
Amen.
Okay, on page 29, all right, it's not that one. Never mind. Let's go back to 28, because there below the line on the left-hand side, you've got the reading that does stars and everything. And I started watching the Apollo 11 documentary on CNN. Did anybody see it? And I only had to fast forward a few times because they had that machine that carries the rocket out to the launch pad, and it goes probably 1 mile every 3 days. So
Like the storm.
took a lot of watching. But that was in our neighborhood. Why did they change it from Cape Kennedy back to Cape Canaveral?
Because that's the name. That's the original name.
That they,
It's still the Kennedy Space Center.
oh, okay.
Cape Canaveral is still Cape Canaveral.
Oh, thank you. All right, that clears up that mystery. Let's read responsively on the left-hand side below the line. Light and darkness, night and day, we marvel at the mystery of stars.
Moon and stars, sand and sea, we marvel at the history of the sun.
Twilight, high noon, dusk, and dawn. Though we are mortal, we are creation's crown.
Flesh and bone, steel and stone, we dwell in fragile temporary shelters.
Ground steadfast love, compassion, grace, sustain us, God, our origin is dust.
Majesty, mercy, love endure, we are but little lower than angels.
Resplendent skies, sunset, sunrise, the grandeur of creation lifts our lives.
Evening, darkness, morning, dawn, renew our lives as you never all time.
Okay, we'll continue now. 29.
כי ימך יגינו ואורך ימינו ומהם רגע יומם הלילה יומם הלילה כי ימך יגינו ואורך ימינו ומהם רגע יומם הלילה יומם הלילה ואהבת קראת תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
All right, page 30, we cover the eyes to show God cannot be seen. We'll sing the Shema together. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Uncover the eyes. Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto, B'Olam Va'ed. The English paragraph. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind.
And these words which I command you this day you shall take to heart. Teach them diligently to your children. Recite them at home and away, night and day. Bind them as a sign upon your hand, and as a reminder above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your homes and upon your gates.
Continuing silently to the end of the first paragraph on 31.
תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, ויתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. 32. אמן אדוני אלוהינו, בין זולתו, ואנחנו ישראל עמו.
All right, continuing on page 32, we're going to lead into the Micha Mocha.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 ונאמר כי פרעה נגד יעקב, ויעלום יד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני על ישראל.
Continuing on page 33, this is the paragraph where we remember the folks we know in need of Refu'ahShelemah, quick and speedy recovery, thinking about our dear friend Laura Durant, Refu'ahShelemah. Hi, Laura. All right.
Howard Lackman.
Sorry?
Howard.
Howard, yes. Howard Lackman, Refu'ahShelemah. And Adele Greenblatt, Refu'ahShelemah. Now we'll go around. Okay. Yes.
I think all the people in the Bahamas.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
And of course, we are having a drive to send them supplies. So thank you.
Jerome Rader and Ruth Robinson.
Refu'ahShelemah. Okay.
Donald Kosnitz, Judy Kosnitz,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Arlene Carl.
Refu'ahShelemah. Yes.
Michelle J. Gomez.
Refu'ahShelemah. Refu'ahShelemah. Okay. Yes. Paul.
Serafina Klein,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Barton Reynolds, Russell Schottger,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Joel Shankman, Stuart Epstein. That's it.
Yes.
Jerry Gluck.
Refu'ahShelemah. Yes.
Bruce Martin,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Shannon Simon,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Kenny Mahadeo,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Enrico Mascaro,
Refu'ahShelemah.
and Heidi Dennis.
Refu'ahShelemah. Thank you.
Martin Baker,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Dennis Benold,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Janice Bianchi,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Sandy Wexler,
Refu'ahShelemah.
and Bob Hiller.
Refu'ahShelemah. Okay. Yes. Refu'ahShelemah. Okay. And thinking, of course, of our brave troops defending our country all over the world. It was very heartening to see the Coast Guard in the thick of it over there in the Bahamas. And of course, the state of Israel, Reshit Ge'ulatenu, the beginning of our redemption. Let's read together the English paragraph on the top left of 33. Help us, O Lord, to lie down in peace, and awaken us again, our sovereign to life. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy.
Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us, our gracious and merciful ruler. Guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praise to you and I, who spreads the shelter of peace over us, over all the people of Israel, and over Jerusalem and the entire world. Baruch atah Adonai, Baruch sukkot shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim, v'al kol ha'olam kulo. Amen. Page 34 is the V'shamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת מי נפש, שבת מי נפש, שבת מי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Please rise, half Kaddish, bottom of 34.
יגאל ויתקדש שם רבה, ועלמא דיברה כילותי ויבליך מלכותך, וחיי עולם יבליכון וחיי לכל בית ישראל. בהגלה בהגלה ובזמן קריב קיבלו ויתפאר ויתרומן ויתנשא ויתענן ויתעלה ויתעלל שמי קודשם לילה מן כל מנחתה ושירתה תושבחה ונחמתה להעמידה מדרמה ויאמרו אמן.
The Amidah, 35b to 38. A good time to address personal prayers to the Almighty. When you're finished, you may be seated.
Say Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Imru Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Behibru, Amen.
Kaddish Shalem, page number 48. יתגלה ויתגלה שם הרמן, ועל מה דיברה חילותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חול וביומי חול ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בעלה ובזמן גרים ואמרו. יהי שמי רב המבורך, לעולם ויום ויומיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתעלה ויתעלה לשמו לקודשה. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה למילה בעלמא ואמרו. תתקבל אצל דורותו לכל ישראל, כדמבואות משמיה ואמרו. יהי שלום רבה משמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו. עושה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושביהם ואמרו אמן.
Page 49.
Bless you.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher קידשנו על מצוותיו ומצוונו בשבת קודשו. Yama Barazon in Hilano, Sigaron, the Masse Breshi, Yam Tequila, Remikrai Kodesh, Sekalitzia, the Ministraim, Ivanu Bakartan, Zaru Kidasham, Mikor ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Shalom of Simchas. All right. Continuing with the Aleinu on page 51. Opening the Ark. Let's do Morty and Yvonne. Would you honor us by opening the Ark?
Wait a minute.
Just stand in the middle, Rita. Let everyone
Throw it at you.
עלינו לשבח לדון הכל, לתת גדולה יוצא ראשית, שלא עשנו גדולי הרצות, ולא שמענו משפחות הדבר, שלא שם חלקנו כהב, וגורלנו ככל העולם. הקוראים ומשתחווים ומודים ולמלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שאונות השמיים ויוצא לארץ ומושב יקרוב בשמיים ממעל ושכינה תוזור בגובי מרומים ובערנו אין עוד אבן מלכנו אבן סולתו כתוב בתורתו וידעת היום השמות אל עבדך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים השמיים ממעל והארץ ממך אין עוד. נאמר היה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Yes, please. All right, the morning Scottish, if you sang morning Scottish, please remain standing, otherwise you may be seated. 52, Kedal v'Kadash Shnei Rabbah,
Amen.
V'Almadi Vrach Erutei V'Amliach Malchutei, V'Chayechon V'Mechon V'Chayei T'chol Beit Yisrael, V'Agalah V'Dizman Karev V'Yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah V'Barach V'Olam Yitbarach, V'Yishtabach, V'Yitpa'ar, V'Yitromam, V'Yitnaseh, V'Yitadar, V'Yitaleh, V'Yitalal, Shemei Tekudisha, B'Richu, V'Elam, V'Nikol, B'Yirchata, V'Shirata, Tushbachata, V'Nechamata, Ta'amiran, V'Alma, V'Yimru, Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Ben Shemaya, Chayim Aleinu, V'Al Kol Yisrael, V'Yimru, Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Ramav, Hu Yaseh Shalom. Aleinu v'al Kol Yisrael v'Yimru. Amen. All right, please be seated. At this time, we're very honored to have a few well-chosen words by our wonderful president, Ms. Rita Fleming-Klein.
Or
This is
not.
where we play the incidental
Or not.
music.
Okay.
Well, we can say some words.
Slichot.
Slichot, that is going to be the 21st of September at 5:30
Yes.
around. We are going to have some food. We can have food,
Gotta have
and we are going to have a movie.
A movie, yes.
And we are going to
A
talk
movie.
about the movie and the connection with the movie and Slichot.
Yes.
Yeah, we are going to
Is
find
there
a connection.
Is there a connection?
If there is not, we are going to find it. This is our job. But
Okay.
it's going to be a connection
Mantles.
between the movie and the season
Slichot.
of Slichot, the season of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur.
Also-
I started. I
I'm so
started
glad.
Now you
When I
can
got in the
continue.
kitchen, I thought, I think I am
Yes, you are spoken for.
So we say already Slichot.
I'm on.
Yes, so, thank you.
Tonight is very easy for me. It's easy in a lot of ways. First to say a good Shabbos to all of you. Hello, Laura. Good Shabbos. Roseanne and Howard. Good Shabbos to you. We can't wait until you're back here with us, all of you, to celebrate Shabbat every Friday night and on Saturday morning too. I want to let you know we're working very hard on the high holidays. I have all of your tickets. If you haven't received them in the mail, I have them in the office. You can stop by on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays to pick them up. We're all ready for you. This week on the 12th, Thursday the 12th at 1 o'clock, our Anna is doing a challah baking class. You will be baking a challah, a round, beautiful one, with whatever special sweets you like to have inside to take home for the high holidays. And Anna will be explaining in her very delightful way why we make a round challah for the high holidays. What's so special about that? Please join us whenever you can. All of our wonderful activities. Cantor already spoke to you about Slichot, and
Changing the
then
mantles.
we're
Mantles.
right. We're changing the mantles.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Great
Um,
pomp and circumstance.
Well, it's a beautiful, it happens to be a very beautiful service, and that's going to be on the 21st. There is a light dinner involved with it, so you can come and eat with us, and you can come and celebrate with us. We're going to be seeing a film. We haven't decided yet what it is. We have a little controversy going, but it'll work out. And then we have the changing of the mantles, so that, and it's so significant, because when the white covers go on the Torah and on the bima, when the cloths are changed in here to white, you know what's coming. And for us, in our wonderful, if a shul can be delicious, this is a delicious shul. In our delicious synagogue, to be together for the high holidays is the greatest joy of all. To start this new year with all of you brings a tremendous joy to my heart. And I'm looking forward to this very much. I'm sure you are too. Tomorrow, after our more traditional service, Rabbi will be doing his class.
Yes, I'm a little conflicted. I want to do Alfred Kinsey, so you have to be 18 and older. And I want to do Oliver Sacks, because I adore the person. But one of my students mentioned Jean Piaget, so we'll have to see.
We'll have to see. But come, because it'll be a wonderful surprise. Rabbi holds the only current events class that I know of on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock, where people come home from current event. Our current events aren't so hot, you know. But everybody comes home from Rabbi's current events class saying, "We had such a good time."
He hit me.
Yeah, especially my husband. So, you know already, Rabbi is an extraordinary teacher. He does that on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, and on Wednesday, early evening at 4:30, an adult Hebrew class. Cantor Javier has been doing our Spanish and Chips class. we had the best time ever. This week it was Baila Bamba, we're Baila Bamba. We had such a good time, and we're learning Spanish through songs, and it was absolutely wonderful. We are going to be taking a break in our Cantor Javier Spanish class until after Simchas Torah, because the scheduling is so busy now with the high holidays and with Cantor's preparation and Rabbi's preparation. So we will be resuming this wonderful, wonderful class after Simchas Torah. And are we going to have a party on Simchas Torah? It's going to be just fabulous, just like it was last year. There are many things planned for you through the coming year. Check the bulletins, check the wonderful website that our precious Doreen put so much work into, and it's really very informative. We're going to have social events, happy events, concert events, charitable events throughout the year. November 3rd, we're having our blessing of the animals that our wonderful Sherry Field Almares is taking care of. And at the blessing of the animals, you can bring your pets, and it's really beautiful. Rabbi
And
does.
adopt a new one.
Well, I didn't get there
Oh,
yet. Give me a chance. Rabbi does a magnificent blessing of the animals. It's really a very tender, tender morning. It'll be on a Sunday morning on the 3rd of November. And as an addition, Sherry has arranged for an animal adoption. So if you don't have a pet and you would like to have a pet, come see the babies that Sherry's going to bring to us, and that you'll be able to bring home and give an animal a very happy Jewish home. What could be better?
And even if you have a pet, you can come and take some more. They have to catch up to me at 4.
This is true. You
That's
just
without
heard
the
what
cats.
Sherry said. You can add to your pet menage.
Yes.
My mother would call it a menagerie, but to the wonder of having your best friends ever in pets in your home. So good Shabbos to all of you.
Good job.
Thank you.
The issue is that she has an Orthodox pet family.
Before adopting a pet, please clear it with your spouse. I tried. Right, we're going to do Psalm 27, which is the David Hashem Ori V'yishi. That is a Psalm of David. God is my light and my salvation. God is our light on Rosh Hashanah, because what happened on the first day of Rosh Hashanah is He created the universe, and what was the first thing He created? Light. Right. And Yishi, God is my Yeshua, meaning God is my salvation, because we pray for salvation on Yom Kippur. So we're on page 80.
לדוד אדוני אורי ואישי ממי ירא, אדוני מעוז חיי ממי אבחר.
Reading silently.
לולא האמנתי לראות בטוב אדוני בארץ חיים, קווה אל אדוני חזק ויאמץ ליבך וקווה אל אדוני.
All right, that last line is so significant. Kaveh el Adonai. It's not hope in God, it's hope towards God. This is the time of year where you might be feeling somewhat distant from the Almighty. So if you project your hope towards God, you give it more oomph, you give it more strength, and you hope that God will receive it favorably. All right. The Adon Olam, unless you want to count the Omer. Okay.
You can do it at once.
Yeah.
Okay.
Page 54, and what tune will we use for the Adon Olam? What tune are we using?
Today for Adon Olam?
Yes.
Now we're going to do a general.
All right. Okay. This is a song that never ends.
Adon Olam אשר מלך, וטרם כל יציר נברא, ודרסה וקצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחריה יקלוט הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא עובד, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו להכירה בדברי שיר ולתקליט, ולא העוז והזיזרה, והוא הגיעי וחי גלי, וצורכי והצרה, והוא מסיס ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אחד, בידו אף כדרוכי, והאישה והעירה,
Please rise for the closing benediction.
May
The Lord bless you and keep you.
the
Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you.
The
Lord turn his face unto you and grant you peace. We'll say amen.
Amen.
Shalom, good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbos, sir.
Good
Beautiful job, really.
You too.